Welcome everyone to On Microsoft, the podcast where we talk about Microsoft stuff on a podcast. I got a little stumbled early on, but we will work our way through this. I will work my way through this personally. I am joined by the world's greatest co-host today.
RF Bacchus.
Yeah, and I'm Kareem Anderson, and we'll be giving you the news for this week, which was actually a pretty busy week for Microsoft and the industry in general. So we'll be having news about not only Microsoft, we'll be talking about Apple a little bit and Android for some things, Epic. There's a lot of stuff going on, but we will pare down the most important stuff, which is the Microsoft stuff.
And the most important thing is this new Windows 11 ad that seems like it is a Disney trailer or something.
Yeah, this seems like a fever dream from like the Alice in Wonderland days with like Johnny Depp and stuff. So we're going to cover that because it's pop culture ish, so to speak. Especially now that they have it as kind of a TV branded ad. Then we'll jump into Microsoft Start, which is another controversial topic for Microsoft this week, apparently.
And then if that, there's also the Windows 11 photo app, which Panos Panay just teased. He's not done with his teasing. He's just like gonna tease every single app in Windows 11 until the thing releases, right?
Yeah, which is like we mentioned a couple podcasts ago, October 5th. That's our countdown. And we'll put it on the screen. Keep you guys in mind. And then, we have our fast recap, which is one of our favorite sections where we can kind of just blaze through a bunch of important topics, but that don't rise to the level of controversy like the first three do. First up in that list, we have Clipchamp, which I just did a review on, but Microsoft decided to just go and buy them. Not because of my recommendation, because my article came out after it, but I do like to think that, they were reading my mind a little bit.
And then we also have some Teams news about some deleting chats if you post some irrelevant messages in your chats.
Yeah. So Microsoft's letting your bosses kind of clamp down on some unnecessary chatter, which I believe Slack is always being kind of ridiculed for. In addition to that, we also have Microsoft Teams and Outlooks are getting big updates, which should help you kind of adapt your hybrid work since we are not fully ready to go back in the office just yet.
And we also forgot to mention about Windows 11 making PCs faster by optimizing system resources.
Yeah, that's going to be kind of an interesting one to go over. We're kind of talking off mic about it, but we'll jump on mic to talk to you guys about it. Then we have our week ahead.
And for a week ahead, we're leading with an Apple story because there will be plenty of fallout from this decision where Apple can no longer force developers to use in app purchasing, according to a judge here in the United States.
Yeah, then we have Halo Infinite's next multiplayer preview. Will be kicking off September 24th. So get your engines ready, get your screenshots and your video gameplay all set up and ready to go when that happens.
And we also have some more about Windows 11 and Android apps. There was a quote unquote leaked Geekbench listing, which we want to talk about a bit.
Yeah, with all that being said, I think it's just time to get into the news, get you guys what you wanted. We'll start off with our first topic, which is Blockbuster Windows 11 ad, or as we like to say internally, what the F was that?
That is an excellent way to phrase it because Microsoft has. I was discussing with another journalist in my mentions about the ads that Microsoft has made. They did the whole Kylie little girl thing with Windows 7, and then they did the Start Me Up thing for Windows 95. They had some amazing ads for Windows, and now they're putting out this weird Alice in Wonderland kind of thing where you jump into your computer and start tapping things all over the wall. It's very strange per se, but the music and the way that it's laid out, it's very reminiscent of what you get with Surface ads. So I'm guessing maybe Panos Panay had a say in this ad, maybe a little bit.
Yeah, I know our friends over at Windows Central were pretty pumped for it. Pumped being the opportune word here. We were a little more reserved, at least for the majority of us writers on Microsoft. And as much as I do love whoever the music supervisor was for this, I did mention that I believe that the storyboarding and the direction of the director may have dropped the thread here. And I only say that as someone who's been a Windows insider, that we know of certain things. We know of what the new start menu looks like. We know that Xbox Game Pass is a big thing already. There are certain elements in this ad that if you know about them, they are kind of nods to you. They are Easter eggs. But if you're trying to sell Windows 11 to people who are pretty satisfied with Windows 10 or just moving from Windows 8, you haven't really explained to them what any of this stuff is and how it's going to make their particular scenarios better. And I think that, and I think I mentioned to you about this, is that Microsoft employs several different marketing firms. So,
Yeah.
this is probably just one ad of many with different styles and flavors that they're going to produce over the next, 5 to 6 years for Windows 11. So, um, I kind of reserved my knee jerk reactions to saying like, oh, what is this? They kind of just say like, all right, well, this is the first one. Hopefully, they will get more, and they will be more explanatory about the apps, the new App Store, why and how Windows is faster, better, and it's more secure, things like that. Because right now, like you said, it's just kind of a splash of color, a few hints of what Windows. They showed, I think, Teams kind of replacing Skype, but nobody knows that. You have to kind of explain that to
Exactly.
them.
Yeah. Yeah.
Master Chief, which is great, but again, you haven't done great marketing for Halo Infinite publicly yet. You just get told it's coming. So it's an interesting ad. I they're trying to cover a wide swath of things that are to come. So maybe with the same individual, this lady who's kind of featured in it, she will go on a journey through each individual thing, maybe, and she will be our through line on how Windows 11 works for you.
I think that was one of my favorite things in the ad was actually towards the ending of it, where she's actually using her PC and you see her use Snap Assist while watching a video and also on a Teams call. What I think these Windows 11 commercials need to do, like you said, is to show people actually using the features of Windows 11, kind of like that B-roll that we always use on our podcast. You need to show people what Windows 11 is because other than people like you and me and techies and people who are familiar with it, if you walk up to some old grandma or someone in their 50s or 60s and tell them your PC is ready for Windows 11, will they actually know what's new and what's changed? So that's
Yeah,
what a
they're
commercial is for. Yeah.
I agree with you. They're going to need to bring over the fan favorite features of Windows
Yeah.
10 and show people how they're better in Windows 11. So if
Exactly. Yeah.
someone was using Skype in Windows 10, show them why Teams is better than Skype. If someone was only using just the Snap Assist for, just doing side by side for their documents, and you show them how much easier it is to do, six different versions of that, or I think five different versions of that. Show them, this is why you can have even more Excel documents on your screen if you want. Things like that are going to need to be shown. And again, we don't know what the service event's going to hold. Maybe there will be an emphasis on touch and type and drawing as well. So maybe new ads will be coming out with more tablet or detachable focused ads as well. So it's the first ad. It's a major ad. It at least shows that Microsoft is ready to start up the marketing engine for Windows 11, like they did Windows 10 and Windows 8 before that. I do think this is much better than the Windows 8 stuff
Yeah.
as
Exactly.
general.
Yeah.
Right off the
Yeah.
bat, there's even though there is a dancer, the classically trained dancer, it isn't a hip hop, random choreographed street dance. What do they call the pop up dances or whatever? I forget their actual term is. Flash mob dances. There's none of
Flash
those.
mobs where they're like slapping the kickstand open and close like they're crazy or
Yeah,
something.
yeah. So they took a little bit of Windows 8, a little bit of Surface, and they kind of put them together. They'll find their way. They'll figure it out. They're Microsoft. They have money.
And if you need help finding your way, there is Microsoft Start, which is not related to the Start menu at all. It just so happens to be a new personalized news feed and collection of informational content from publishers tailored to your interests. So basically, think Microsoft News and MSN on drugs, but not specifically drugs, but like super amped up, more personalized, and more ways to get the things that you care about on your computer screen without having to click through RSS feeds or scroll through timelines or any of that kind of stuff.
Or even use the widget screen
Yeah,
on your
no,
own
no more,
computer.
no more,
This,
no more need for widgets or news and interest. Even though Microsoft Start will apparently be part of that, but it's just
yeah,
not live yet.
yeah, it's a very interesting dynamic of Microsoft doing what Microsoft does best, which is double and triple their efforts on one idea. Again, we have four different versions of the way to get email. We now have two different versions of or three different versions to get way to get your own personalized news with your MSA account, I believe. So uh, they will need to consolidate this. I think it's what they're doing is they're building out the website version, UI, and design for it, so that when you do use your widget, when you click into it, you will have this new layout. Eventually, this widget will be a launch pad, basically, to take you to this new site full of stuff. So, if you are a fan of Microsoft News, MSN News, MSN Money, I think was one of the other ones, Weather, and you over the time curated a feed of stuff you like to see, it should start showing up on the start thing. It's also another way for them to, I believe it's almost kind of a PDA or PWA, right? Because it's also,
Yeah,
it can be accessed.
it's on the web. Yep.
It can be accessed on your phone, on your tablet as well through the web. They kind of do show people using it on the Android devices and things like that. I tried it. I believe it needs a little more optimization. There's a lot of like
And
padding,
yeah.
spacing on the sides of my Pixel when I use it. I'd like to see, screen to screen newsfeed stuff like that. But again, first effort. I don't know if it's going to replace the MSN app, the news app, at some point. I really like the way the app works. Hope maybe they figure out a way to combine the two, just like they will for Outlook.
I believe I saw this on the Surface Duo Reddit where people are complaining that Microsoft News used to be able to span across both screens. Like you have the list on the left and your articles on the right. Now, with the new Microsoft Start, they completely eliminated that and you no longer have the spanning. So, as part of the rollout of Microsoft Start, they're replacing Microsoft News app with the Microsoft Start app itself.
Oh no. Well, this again, this is one sign that it's Microsoft is a huge company that may not be collaborating well, because you would think with the upcoming Duo that they would optimize Microsoft Start for something like that two screen, where, like you said, the old app, you could pin your list on one side and article, the full article on the other side. If they're just spanning it now, I wonder how that's going to work across the two different screens and stuff like that. So, uh, hopefully, panels will have this figured out by 2 weeks from now, week and a half from now.
And the whole thing, like we saying here, is that it is fully customizable. Any feed in the experience will have information on weather, finance, sports, and traffic. And you can always change which card you want to see because there is a personalized button and you could click through and like say you're a hardcore Democrat and you don't like seeing Fox News, you could hide Fox News, or even the other way around, you're a hardcore Republican, you don't like seeing MSNBC, you could hide MSNBC. Microsoft News pulls from over 1,000 different publications too. So it's not just one-sided, only one source you're getting your information from. We had a guide on how you could customize the experience to your own liking. So if you're trying out the app for the first time and the website for the first time, visit our website and check out the little guide that we put together.
Yeah, please do, because again, I think it's a great resource. Like as you said, you don't need to visit or create a new RSS feed. Just kind of go with what you've been doing. If again you've been using a Microsoft Launcher or MSN or the widgets on your Windows devices.
And speaking of Windows and Windows devices, that is our third topic because Panos Panay just teased another new Windows 11 app.
Yeah, we'd mentioned again, not that we're like foreseers or prophesizers or anything like that, but we did mention that there is a screen, uh, basically a drawer full of apps that Panos keeps teasing from. And I believe that he's going to tease probably 2/3 of the apps listed in that drawer. And first he started off with, I believe it was the alarm clock. Then we did
Snipping tool,
snipping tool. Then we went over to
Paint.
Paint,
Yeah.
and now we're doing the Photos app. These are the inbox apps that come with Windows 10, Windows 11. I believe they came even with Windows 8 as well. But with all that being said, it's being redesigned, so to speak. Maybe they are seeing that people actually do like using the Photos app for more than just the default image viewer, because they're adding a bunch of new editing tools, new cropping tools, new ways to edit, and they're adding a new design. The design will be similar if for those of you who have been using Paint or at least Access Paint via the Insider builds or have been using a snipping tool. It has that same sort of
Yep.
minimalized ribbon at the top, very iconic. What do you call it?
Ribbon, the iconic
No,
ribbon.
no, but when you use like icons instead of words,
Uh,
iconography.
Iconography. Yep. Yep.
They're leaning heavily on that as well. So you won't just have a ton of words at the top that kind of show you stuff.
Yeah.
You'll be able to kind of visually see what the tools are that you're going to be using. It looks really cool. I'm anxious to use it. But like I said, there are at least like another nine, 10 other apps in that drawer that he keeps teasing from that I'm looking forward to using as well.
But most of the times, it's not really updates that give you new features. It's just about a fresh coat of paint to make the app fit in with Windows 11 and Windows 11 design language more. We already got, like you're saying, we had those before with the Paint app, with the Alarms app, which got rounded corners and new icons that fit with what Windows 10, Windows 11 has. But from what I've seen in this teaser so far, it could shape up to be a little bit of a disappointment because people always complain that the Photos app is slow to open and slow to open movies, and it doesn't have as much controls as what you get on Mac OS or even on Android. So, what are your thoughts there? Do you think it's just going to be a fresh coat of paint, and that's it, or do you think Panos will also surprise us with a bunch of new features?
Ooh, that's tough. I mean, just based on the 20-second clip that he kind of shows us, it does some new things already.
Yeah,
I believe it's edge to edge a viewing window. So I mean,
yeah,
the old Photos app had the kind of like padding around the side of your photos and things like that, which looks great when you're using like the dark mode. When light mode, that's looks kind of annoying. They show it in light mode and it's edge to edge. The other thing that they kind of show is that it gives you upfront a lot of visible metadata. You kind of had to like find hidden menus, right click, context menus, things like to get that kind of stuff. So for people who want to archive, who want to tag, who want to filter their images certain specific ways, they'll be able to at least looks like they'll be able to do it a little quicker. The other thing is that it does look like we're getting a lot of the same sort of tools that we already have in the Photos app, but now they are readily visible. So you know that you can do that. With the current one, again, you need a context menus to see that. Usually, whenever you pull up a photo, it gives you just a plain photo. And if you didn't right click, you didn't know that you could crop, that you could change the aspect ratio, that you can flip it or rotate it, that you could mark it up, or that you could favorite it. It's kind of a photo to save for later. All that stuff is going to be at the ribbon at the very top, just like the snipping tool. So to your question, I don't know if we're necessarily going to get new features, at least not up front, but this does pave the way for accessibility of the current features so people at least know that, hey, Windows does have some cool tools that I can use. I don't know if they're going to be on par with what you get in is it iPhotos?
yeah. It's just the Photos app in Mac OS.
Well, because don't they have a Finder version of like you can look at a photo and then
The
there's
preview tool.
preview tool and then there's an actual like you can go in and edit photos in Mac.
Yeah.
So I think Microsoft is trying to split the line on that, where you can do both in this single app. But again, I don't know if the tools are going to be up to par with that. But at least you'll know about the tools that you may not have known about in Windows 10. Like for this entire time, a lot of these photo editing tools have been there, just people didn't know, and so they disregarded the app in general. It's like I'm going to move on to something else or something more specific. I'm going to get an Adobe subscription because that's what I want. When you could have saved yourself $18 a month or whatever.
Well, that is a perfect transition to fast recap because you mentioned tools and inbox apps. And for fast recap, we're going to put 10 minutes on the clock to get through, what is it, 4 stories? And I'll let you get started with Microsoft's latest acquisition.
Yeah, so Microsoft ends up purchasing Clipchamp. And this kind of goes into what we said about inbox apps, ideally. We don't know. I mean, it just happened this week officially. The talks have probably been going on for months. But Microsoft acquired them for, I don't know if we have a total for it just yet, but they did, officially become part of Microsoft repertoire. What Clipchamp is, for those of you who are unfamiliar with it, it's a web-based video editing tool, a la Filmora, but just using the browser. You can use the browser. Microsoft and Clipchamp have worked since the announcement of Windows 11 to make a PWA that's downloadable in the Windows Store. It's a big thing for them. Uh, they do offer tiers. They have a free tier, I believe, that has watermarks available. Like you can do editing, but you will have to publish with a watermark. Then they have a $9 that's the mid-level one, which eliminates the watermark. Also offers a few additional filters and editing tools. And then there's a 30 one, which is a $30 one, which is mostly I believe they call their enterprise or business one, that unlocks all of the features. Again, it's still sort of limited, but much more than you have the $9 one. So you have those three tiers for the web-based version of this. And this is a much better version of the video editing software that Microsoft currently uses in Photos, I believe. Yeah, Photos app.
Yeah.
So if they decide to roll this in to their current stable of platforms and software on Windows 11, I think it's going to be a huge boost for Windows users, especially just your I like the cliched mom and pops who just kind of want to put together edit video edits, create birthday announcements, or put together an anniversary album or something like that. They have a lot of tools that'll be great for that, that are easy to use. They're not as convoluted as maybe using DaVinci or Adobe Premiere or even Filmora. These are kind of templated setups. So the other thing that I was going to mention too, unless you want to jump in here, is that for businesses, this is, I believe, where Microsoft is going to make its bread and butter on this acquisition. For marketers, anybody in a small to medium sized business, the template version or the templated nature of Clipchamp is, really in line with offering people quick and easy tools to market, to grow a business and things like that. It's sort of kind of like when you see templates on a PowerPoint or
Right.
Word or
Yeah.
Excel, things like that. Clipchamp has a lot of those. So one of their big things is that they have it for social media. So again, if you're a small business but you want to start marketing and you have someone who has a phone camera or something like that, and you want to create some quick content and edit it and get it out the same day, they have templates for YouTube videos, TikTok tutorials, stuff like that, for streaming as well. They have a whole list of these things, and all you basically have to do is drag and drop your actual footage into it. They have all of the titles lined up, the lower thirds, all that stuff's already in place. So imagine being a business. You get Microsoft 365. It comes with Azure. It comes with Office. It comes with all of the Power BI for all of your data visualizations. And on top of this, you can tell your marketers, drop Adobe Premiere. We just need some quick videos for Facebook, Instagram, and TikTok, and they can go in and create these and have them to you in 15 minutes or so. I think it's going to be a huge sell, and it's going to be something that helps propel Microsoft beyond what Google and Amazon are offering at the moment.
I,
Because they're
th- I
go
I
ahead.
think you did a very good job of summarizing that, but time to move on towards
Yeah.
the second topic, which is Windows 11 making PCs faster. Now,
Yes.
this can be something that's very controversial. How would you know if your PC is faster or not? But Microsoft had a Microsoft Mechanics video where Steven Dispenza, I'm saying his name wrong, and if I am, I apologize, but he is the vice president of enterprise management at Microsoft. He talked about some of the performance changes in Windows 11, and it has a lot to do with CPU and battery life management and system resources. And he specifically said that in Microsoft's own tests, in going from Windows 10 to Windows 11 on a sample system, they saw an average of 32% memory savings and 37% CPU savings. And this is because Windows 11 is more able to efficiently put memory towards what you're working on and on the foreground and put things to rest in the background. And other than that, they also talked about how Windows 11 will start up to 25% faster from sleep wake up times compared to Windows 10, and how Windows Hello could be 30% faster for logins. And also the part about Windows updates. Windows updates are now 40% smaller on Windows 11. Now, those are just a bunch of numbers, and we were talking about it off camera, and I'll let you give in your 2 cents right here really quickly.
Yeah, I was interested in knowing how how they're achieving this. You and I asked those questions. I'll keep it brief, but I remember explicitly they talked about Windows 8 being reduced in animations, reduced in its size, reduced in all of the cruft that made Windows 7 kind of slow and heavy. They went to 2D, they went to the flat design, uh, and now they're kind of going back to drop shadows and acrylic and kind of the glass stuff. So I'm wondering how they're going to manage these resources. They also mentioned in Windows 8 about tombstoning apps, which was big, about how they would put an app to sleep in the background so that you can get more resources. I wonder if they're going to be doing something similar to that in Windows 11. I just want to know how they're going to achieve a lot of this. I do feel like the installs for the insider builds have been much smaller. They've taken less time. The restarts are less often, at least for me as of right now. I'm encouraged to see how they're going to achieve this 40%. I'd love to see how they make Windows Hello even faster, because it's pretty quick as it is now too.
And that said, let's move on to our third topic here, which is Microsoft Teams letting chat supervisors delete irrelevant chat messages. So we're on Microsoft, and if someone in our chat starts talking about iPhones and MacBooks and our administrator could delete those messages, because Microsoft Teams is now allowing IT admins and administrators to moderate chats and get rid of unwanted messages in Teams. Now, this is mainly for education users, but it's rolling out to the desktop version of Teams, which means everyone will eventually have the option to take this checkbox and give the IT admin the ability to do this. So it's mainly about like keeping chats PG-13 and keeping your workplace more friendly.
Yeah, I mean, you think you summed it up greatly. The only thing I would say is add to that is that it could be a twofold thing. One, I don't know what the resource size is for an elongated chat, something that goes on for months at a time. Maybe just like email, it takes up a certain amount of memory and space. If you can just start deleting all of the nonsense about like, oh, what'd you watch last night, stuff like that, and get it down to just the stuff that's in a meeting, you can free up some of those spaces and resources. The other thing is that it's also for corporate management to keep anything that could be at fault, any
Yeah,
kind of
exactly.
language,
Yeah.
things like that, that could put the business at risk. Getting rid of all that stuff in the chat could be for protection's sake.
And we're not done with Teams just yet. Teams and Outlook just got some big updates, which are all about hybrid work, which is the new normal here now.
We were all hoping to be, well, I don't know if we were hoping, but businesses were hoping that we would all be back to work at this point. And that's not being the case. Microsoft even mentioned that they are holding back their back in office deadline. They're pushing that back as well. Just, it's evolving time. So what Teams is getting is, let's see specifically, Microsoft announced new AI powered capabilities coming to Teams rooms devices back in June. What we'll start getting is companion mode in the Microsoft Teams mobile app, which should be improved. The app will now offer quick access to Microsoft Whiteboard, chats, and live reactions. The improved companion mode will be rolling out in the next few months. So at least from your phone, or if you're having a meeting, but you decide to sit on your phone on the couch to be more comfortable, you'll be able to still get access to all the same collaborative tools that everyone else is using on their PCs. If that's not enough, they'll be adding support for Apple CarPlay. I don't know why. That's interesting. You shouldn't be doing any kind of work while you're driving. Maybe if you're parked, or maybe you just want to get out of the house because you have a crying child and you just need a little peace and quiet or something. You'll be able to start doing some stuff from Teams. So again, you'll be able to join calls while driving. In addition, you'll be automatic lighting correction capabilities will arrive in Teams meetings in the coming months. Microsoft also announced a couple of apps to support new shared stage experiences that was originally announced back Build 2021 earlier this year. The list includes Freehand, Lucid Spark, Mural, Miro, and some more. In early 2022, Microsoft PowerPoint is also gaining a few new capabilities that should make hybrid presentations even better. We have a whole post on all of these details if you guys want to kind of go check those out. But again, these are all things to just make presentations, make navigating these kind of things from your home office a little easier.
And then Outlook is also getting two new features. There's an new RSVP experience, where you'll be able to tell the person who invited you to the meeting if you'll be attending in person or if you'll be attending virtually. So that is a huge one now, considering that most workplaces are doing a blend of work where it's some people at home and some people in the office.
Yeah, I wonder how they're going to address that when it's like, oh, Stacy said she's going to take this meeting from home. Do you treat her differently? I feel like it should still be the same. And the other thing that they're getting is they plan to launch Connections through the mobile app in public preview later this month, right?
Yep, and that was the last thing in Fast Recap. And as always, Fast Recap was very fast, and we got through it in our 10 minutes.
Yeah, at least we're hoping we did. We'll see what the timer says at the bottom.
And now it's time for Week Ahead, which is your favorite segment.
I mean, it's yours. You're the one that gets all the hardware and fun stuff to talk about. But in this section, I do have a favorite that I'll start off with, which is the Alan Wake remaster to launch on October 5th for Xbox, PlayStation, and PC. I am a huge fan. This may be my most favorite game created to date as Alan Wake. Um, Forget the name of the company the studio behind it, but they also did what was the I apologize, I blanked this. But anyway, it's an amazing game about a writer. The dynamics are great. They don't have bullet time, but they do use this new engine that kind of slows things down. They have it's basically like a Stephen King slash James Bond game put together. It's super amazing. Great soundtrack, an awesome game, and I'm glad that people on PlayStation, have a chance to play this again, and people on PC will have a chance to play this. And I'm looking forward to seeing how they update the graphics and because it's done in the woods, so there's a lot of like play
Right.
with light and
Yeah.
dark shadows that the guy uses a flashlight. It's going to be super cool, and I'll be happy to get my hands on it again as an Xbox player now.
And that's not all of the Xbox news for the coming week. There's also the second multiplayer preview for Halo Infinite, which will kick off on September 24th. This was announced during the PlayStation, what was it, PlayStation preview event or whatever Sony
Mhm.
had going. So Microsoft tried to spoil the show with that announcement. And you'll have until Monday, September 13th to sign up for the Halo Insider program to get a chance to and get an invite for this new multiplayer beta.
Yeah, they tried to pull what is it, Apple during CES kind of
Yeah.
thing.
Yeah.
They announce something while it's going on and see if they can take people's minds away from it. I don't know if how big of a deal that was, but it is. It's great. We'll get to see this, even though I think they say the multiplayer isn't coming until next year, right?
Yeah.
So at least we'll know how it's shaping up and what if they're starting to live up to the hype. And then I think our last thing on our
Talk about Apple and the whole Epic Games situation.
yeah, that's what I was going to jump
Yeah.
onto. We just got word, I believe earlier today, about the judge issued an injunction forcing Apple to change its app store policies. It isn't the 100% win that Epic Games wanted in this complaint that they had, but it is a step in the right direction. What it will make, and if it, again, Apple's free to appeal this, and I'm sure they will. But in the precedent in California is forcing them to do this, and if it holds, they'll have to do it by December to change App Store policies, which will allow App Store developers to at least promote and educate their audience and buyers that they can purchase things outside of the Apple Store. Previously, they couldn't even mention it, so you had to know where to buy stuff if you were like on Spotify or Netflix or some
Mm.
other apps, or Audible, I believe was a big one on the App Store. You had to leave Apple's App Store, but you didn't know why you're doing it now. App developers can tell people to do this, and that helps them escape the 30, or I think believe they moved it to 15% revenue tax that they would get, just from Apple hosting it. So that's big. What I believe Epic has another lawsuit against Google for the exact same thing. So we'll see how that plays out. the judge in the case also noted that she didn't believe that Apple was working or being a monopolistic based just on the success. She, I believe, is quoted, and you'll see this across the internet for the whole weekend, is that success is not illegal. That was one of her exact quotes. So Apple's success is not illegal, but they will need to change App Store policies by December.
And we also forgot to get into the well, this will be the last topic. So it's Android apps in Windows once again. We talked last week about how a placeholder was in the Microsoft Store for the Windows subsystem for Android, but this week we are seeing a Geekbench listing, which put the which basically is running Geekbench in the as an Android app on Windows 11, and this was spotted by on Twitter by at never released. And the Geekbench results are very pleasing, I would say, because they outscored the Microsoft Surface Duo, and the multi-core score was around 3,000, and the single core score was around 800. Now, we don't know what device this was being tested on, but if the Windows subsystem for Android could put out that kind of numbers, then Microsoft is really working on something impressive here.
Yeah, I believe I had reached, we talked about this earlier this morning about the potential this could be for, any Windows device, but it's particularly ones on ARM as well.
Yeah,
Even though this is a virtualized version of this, this should help with ARM or PCs that are or Windows on ARM PCs to at least get them the same sort of power that they would need in order to host Android virtually on a device because Android is actually kind of heavy being JavaScript and whatnot. So if they can start to do this, we can start to see apps run sort of natively in
yeah.
containers on Surface Pro X devices. So even though you will get the full Google Play Android store, uh, if you're a developer, you'll be able to test a lot of your stuff and have it almost a one for one if you're going to develop. So it becomes again a potential developing platform for you.
And that said, that is everything we wanted to get through in this podcast episode.
Oh, I wanted to say that the developing studio was Remedy,
Ah,
and
Remedy, yes.
yeah, and they were also known for I think it's Max Payne is one of theirs. Control was another one.
Didn't they do
Uh,
Quantum Break also?
That's it. Quantum Break. Yeah,
Yeah,
Quantum Break was the follow-up to Alan Wake. So if you're
yeah.
a fan of any of those types of things, again, Max Payne, Alan Wake, Quantum Break, uh, get this Alan Wake remaster because I think it's again, it's going to be awesome.
And now that said, that is the last thing we wanted to talk about. So I will leave you for our traditional outro.
Yeah, you can find me at Mindhead1 on Twitter, where I write a bunch of stuff and talk about a bunch of stuff. Hopefully, you like what I'm talking about. Where can people find you?
A back journ.
Yeah, and for those of you who are interested in us outside of just this podcast and just want to know or get to know other writers from on Microsoft, you can get all of their stuff on Microsoft at Twitter. Again, we'll have latest content, we have giveaways, we have reviews, we have editorials. All this stuff can be found there. If you don't want to visit the website, we are thinking about opening up some other social media channels. We were just discussing. You can also find more interesting stuff on our Pinterest page. I just found out we had one. We're promoting it. We have a writer who particularly takes care of that, and he's really into gaming. So, if you're a gamer, a gaming fan of the site, Pinterest is where you would like to go to see all that information. Great pins as well, and we'll see about opening up something for you people who are Instagram users or TikTok things like that.
And that said, thanks for watching, everyone. Hope to see you again soon. Same place, same time.
Yeah. Oh, and before we leave, I believe our editor in chief said that we can start taking questions for you. So if you want to use the hashtag, what did you say the hashtag was?
On podcast.
There we go. Start using that on Twitter. We would love to take your questions and have a kind of a brief breakout Q&A section. Maybe we'll answer 3 to 5 questions about what we know about anything from our sources or anything that we might have embargoed. Well, we can't talk about that stuff, but other things like that. Hardware reviews coming up. So give us your questions, and we will reach out, and we would love to answer those.
And also remember that we have our YouTube page and we have our community. So you always could reply to our community posts. Every week we tease our podcast. So you could head there and just drop us a question. We'll answer it on the show.
Yeah, we'd love to engage with you guys. And like I said, we will be starting. I think this is episode 1 of season 2. Now that we've hit the year mark,
Yeah. Yeah.
so we'd love to change up the format a little bit. Like I said, have some of you viewers on as well. So this ending is run a little longer, but we just want to make sure that we got all the new information out for you guys.
Yeah, everyone. And again, thank you for watching. The show is all thanks to you and everyone who watches us every week.
Yeah, we really appreciate it, and we would love to see or tell more people about us. So have a great weekend. With that being said, be safe, stay dry.
All right. Bye bye.